This week's Torah portion is Bereshit or Bereshit. So what's going on in this week's Torah portion?
Well, this week's Torah portion takes place from creation through God telling Noah that he's going to cause the flood, he's going to wipe everyone out.
Right. Very cool. So is there anything we can learn from this at all?
Well, let's look at it this way.
Okay.
Most people tend to see Bereshit as a beginning.
Right.
Start at the beginning.
Because we've ended the last Torah portion, now we're beginning the Torah all over again.
Right.
Is that not really how we should look at it?
Here's the thing.
Okay.
The Torah is a cycle.
Okay.
Right? And so we see, even in the book, in the beginning portion, there's so many beginnings. There's so many times that we've had to start over.
Right.
So if we look at this from a larger perspective, there is no beginning and ending. There's only the cycle. There's the cycle of the Jewish year, and there's the cycle of the Torah. We end with the 12 tribes getting their instructions from Moses, and Moses passing on, and then we start all over again. In the beginning of the portion, such as Adam and Eve, they made a mistake, they're forgiven, they're starting over. God created the world, and then people messed up, and he tells Noah, I'm going to forgive you, but I'm going to keep going. So we see all these times where there's beginnings and continuations, so which leads us to see there is no ultimate beginning here. There's only starting from where we are. And we can only start from where we are and move forward. And our jobs are never complete. Even if we mess up, we see even in the beginning of the Torah that when we mess up, we can't go back to a beginning.
Interesting.
We have to start where we are. Start again from where we are and move forward.
You know, I was thinking about this whole thing of like Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and all that. It always seems like God gets angry when we do something violent, like when we don't hit that standard, but then God punishes us with some kind of violence.
And if we look in the Torah, specifically in this portion where violence occurs, those are the moments when the greatest violence happens. Cain murders Abel, and he is punished, as well he should be. We look at the story of Noah at the end of the portion. God says, quite specifically, the earth has become violent. And so God wipes out with the flood, wipes out humanity. So if we look at it Kabbalistically, we have the idea that God's energy comes through the Sephiroth, different attributes of God, and comes down to creation. How we use that energy defines how the world what the world becomes. So if we are violent, we activate this divine violence, this retribution, this judgment, and we are judged according to how we act. We create violence, we call violence. So we end up using the energy that we should be using to repair the world, to destroy the world.
That's an interesting idea because it kind of reminds me of two things that are going on right now. One is everybody getting into this idea of the law of attraction, that whatever you do, you put out in the universe and you get that back. And the other idea is Eckhart Tolle, you know, and some of those kind of New Agey ideas. But here in the Torah, you know, this ancient book that's supposed to be kind of outdated and have stories and ideas that don't, the Bible, whatever, but it actually has all of these crazy New Age ideas.
Well, then they're not
they're not crazy and they're not New Age.
We've seen in the Torah, as a response to our actions, how what we do in the world creates the reactions that we get.
God is not this person who does things the way that we do, but instead God is simply a mirror. And the idea of image, that we are made in God's image, if you look in a mirror, you see yourself.
How almost we create a cycle of violence.
Interesting.
Violence begets violence, begets violence. And only when we stop and wash it away can we start again from a place that is whole.